This program is designed to provide general information with regards to the subject matters covered. This information is given with the understanding that neither the hosts, guests, sponsors, or station are engaged in rendering any specific and personal, medical, financial, legal, counseling, professional service, or any advice. You should seek the services of competent professionals before applying or trying any suggested ideas.
Good morning, true seekers and true crime junkies. Welcome back to another episode of Hit the Road, Jack, Finding the Zodiac. I am Nanette, and today I'm going to welcome to the show Nolan Del Campo.
Good morning, Nanette.
Good morning. I always love your tie-dye.
Thank you.
And Terry Batcher.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm doing well, thank you. How about yourself?
Not too bad. Not too bad.
Right. Can't complain. I
I wanted to know the title of that book real quick.
Well, I'm just going to introduce that. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, go ahead. Never mind.
Hi, Nolan. I know that you're into a new book, and Terry is really kind of chomping at the bit to find out what that title of that book is. Could you share with us what you're reading right now?
Nice. Very nice.
Coop in Dallas. And you said you wanted to read something out of that real quick.
Yes, there's a section on potential shooters that were in Daily Plaza that day. And they were a team put together by this Colonel Charles Wilby. And one of the guys is named by Colonel Charles Boot Askins. He was military. He was in Vietnam, but he was also CIA, and he's just a trained killer. So here's what they say. Just a little synopsis. He made 132 jumps out of airplanes. He was, like I say, in Vietnam. In 1963, he retired from government service, allegedly. Well, that's probably right after the assassination. So,
well, then how was he in Vietnam?
Well, see, that's he retired from maybe CIA service or assassin teams, but later he went to Nam. Yeah. So, and anyway, so they say there's no way to describe him other than he was a stone cold killer. He was not suited to law enforcement because he was racist and had a killer instinct that sometimes slipped its leash. By his own count, he had killed 27 people, not including blacks and Mexicans. In a separate account by an avid gun historian, we learned that Askins did not hesitate to shoot opponents regardless of race or nationality, but didn't consider those of minority status worth counting in his tally. Askins himself said he hunted animals so avidly because it wasn't allowed to hunt men anymore.
Wow. Yeah, it kind of like rolls right along the lines. Most dangerous
game, that type of thing.
Right. I want to welcome Harriette to the show. She's on the phone with us today. Yeah. Good morning, Harriette.
Yeah, good morning. I hope I'll try to keep it a good morning. They're chasing us out of our properties here. Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, we can talk about that one after.
Yeah, we'll just focus on DB Cooper.
Right. Yeah. And we are today.
Yeah.
So I want to go ahead and throw up the PowerPoint presentation so we can climb. Oh, I'm sorry. So we can climb right back on into DB Cooper. I have this letter here, which, like I said last week, I'm not sure entirely if it was written by the Zodiac. There are some very interesting quirks. There are some commonalities between it and other communications, which we'll discuss. But I kind of just threw up the envelope at this point because I saw that there were markings, and I think these were from your collection, Terry B., correct?
I think so, yeah.
You had something listed on there, 777, Order Out of Chaos. 777, Chaos.
Well, I just pointed out that it looked like it was 3 sevens. That's
correct.
All. I
and what is the Order Out of Chaos?
That's part of your moniker. 777. We're getting an echo, by the way. Did you notice that?
I know. I hear that. I'm not sure what's going on.
Yes.
It's not from me. I'm wearing my earbuds. Hint, hint. Earbuds.
Yeah.
So can you explain to us where you get the order out of chaos thing?
Well, the three letters together, 777, is kind of accepted as being order out of chaos. You use it yourself with your moniker from your message board, right? Nanette B 77. Why did you pick 777? I looked it up and it said order out of chaos. So I got it from you. That's right.
777 had long since been my lucky numbers, I suppose. But in recent years, I've changed to 222. So I guess I went from order out of chaos to an angel number.
Oh, okay.
Can I say something really quick? Because that's very 1960s. Remember Get Smart? That was the Intel community, the joke on the Intel community, and they were operating out of chaos. If I remember correctly. Yeah,
I thought it was somebody who,
absolutely correct.
I thought it was somebody who wrote a book in regards to the John Benet Ramsey case that talked about order out of chaos.
No, that would then go way back there, but it's he's saying something very, very correct about the order out of chaos, and then you got Get Smart, and chaos. So
that makes perfect sense. That makes sense. Well, like I say, I looked it up to see why Nanette picked it, and what I read online was that they said that it stands for order, generally accepted as order out of chaos, a 777.
I didn't know I promoted that.
I'll tell you something else that's interesting, you kids, is lately we've been watching old film noirs, and a lot of them have to do with espionage. And it's interesting what the world was like in those days as far as dealing with codes and things like that. So that would have been in Jack's era, We're talking the 1940s, 1950s. And I'd have to go back and see what movies there were that I watched, but it seemed like every third one was something to do with espionage and code breaking and things like that. It was very interesting stuff. And there was kind of a fixation in those days. So, yeah, Get Smart's a wonderful show. I think it's one of Mel Brooks' best works.
All right, let's get back to our show.
Let's get back to your show.
So, Harriette, I was asked, do you have the video of this playing in the background?
No, I'm just on the phone, but
okay.
But I should know this stuff by now.
No, I was just trying to figure out why we have this echo that's occurring. So, all right. Anyways, back to this.
I'm recording us.
What's that?
Somebody else is recording.
Somebody else is recording?
Yes, the Intel community that wants to get this in there stuff.
Okay, all right, let me go on now. All right, so this envelope obviously had the earmarks of the Zodiac because he actually used airmail more than once in his communications. Some of the things I wanted to point out about this particular communication is that there's underlining that occurs, and we know that throughout the DB Cooper, there was underlining. There's underlining throughout the Zodiac case in several different instances, and all the way to the DC Freeway Phantom, which also had underlining underneath the Freeway Phantom. Aside from that, we see that the beginning or the intro to this letter that is in the DB Cooper case begins "Sirs," which is definitely something that the Zodiac used in the Badlands letter. So we see him again addressing and beginning the communication as "Sirs." I'm not sure why we're getting this feedback. I'm not sure why.
Nolan, do you have your earbuds on, Nolan? Are you using earbuds?
I don't have them with me. I didn't bring them on the road. But I don't think that's it. I've tried different things.
Try turning your monitor down that you hear us on.
Okay, I'll try that.
See if that helps.
Okay.
And try talking a tad softer, Nanette. See if that helps.
What do you mean talk softer? That's better.
Well, I mean, And yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I didn't get any feedback that way.
It's feedback.
Okay. All right. Anyways. Oh, nope. There it was again. I got too excited. So we can't see that.
Yeah.
Yeah. We
That's
can't
why
see
you gotta
here
have
that
the
there's.
earbuds. You got to have the earbuds.
To prevent that feedback.
Yes.
Gotcha. All right. So we are seeing some commonalities between underlining the use of the words airmail and the introduction to sirs, as the Zodiac also introduced or basically opened up communications in the Badlands letter. And that brings us to the actual letter itself. And that's why I was a little suspect as to whether or not this was actually from D.B. Cooper, because it's actually supposedly telling on D.B. Cooper or who they might think it is. So I get a little confused when they start redacting things, especially like on the envelope. They've redacted the address up here. They've also redacted where it was mailed from. And I don't quite understand why they would redact that particular information, especially if this didn't come from the suspect or wasn't suspected to have come from the suspect. Anybody got any thoughts on that?
Well, the FBI.
Oh, I was trying to reboot, so I kind of missed it.
The FBI doesn't answer to the average public; they answer to their own cause.
Correct.
Whatever that might be. So if they have if it's embarrassing for them, I can see why they'd redact it. Why, So yeah, it's a good question you pose, and why would that be? Look how he put emphasis on why in bureau. He put, why. Remember, he's done FBI. I think wasn't that on the 340 cipher? So he's saying FB or no, pardon me, the ransom number. Anyway, some of his documents are FBY. So here's a Federal Bureau of Investigation, and the word bureau, he put something that resembles a Y for the R, the letter R. So he's really doing it with all of his R's. Look at that. He's saying Y's. Y, the FBY. So.
Right. And when I look at these R's, some of them look very checkmarkish in comparison to others. So that was something that they were definitely looking at in the handwriting of a potential suspect, was that checkmark R. So I did find that was consistent in here. Let's see. So basically, from what I can read, they redacted again a majority of this letter, which doesn't make any sense. We have basically a countdown. So he's numbering the different attributes, which we've seen the Zodiac do in his letters. But it does say that it's to the Federal Bureau of Investigation, Federal Courthouse, Seattle, Washington. And it says, gentlemen, equals, this is to call your attention to. So, I mean, just out of the gate, it sounds like something that the Zodiac would say. He says, he could be your man. Please note, again, with the equal sign. Number one, the composite drawing, and then it's redacted, has a remarkable resemblance to the composite sketch in the San Diego papers about 5 days ago.
Remarkable.
Remarkable?
Yeah. No, it's Zodiac 101 all the way.
Right. Yeah. The breaking of those words. Well, and I think that was one of the other things that I looked at. We talked about just for a few seconds last week, which was the my name is, and that generous spacing that occurs between the words seems to also be extremely similar. I don't know how many people would put that large of a space between those three words, but it seems to be consistent both between the Zodiac and this particular letter. And we do know that in the draft board letters that we had the word sincerely used. And of course, we're seeing sincerely used here. It says tell, and that almost reminds me of telephone, right? So that's probably what he's saying.
It is telephone.
Okay, so my name is, and then they've redacted. So interesting, my name is, and they redact that entire section. So I'm assuming if it's that large of a redaction, there must also be an address or something involved in it. And then, of course, the telephone number. And it says the reason I am writing about something you may already know is that. And then we've got another redaction all the way to the point where then it picks up again and says, get involved in helping to solve crime. Sincerely yours. Interesting. Because we do hear a lot from these potential communications that there's either somebody who is acquaintance or an accomplice who wants to help solve the crime. So this very well could be another one of those, like we will see here in the future in the Oakland County child murders, where the acquaintance purportedly writes this letter to tell on the serial killer. I did kind of also pull up the different A's and noted that the A's were similar with each other, although the Zodiac seemed to write the word already using a double L. But again, like Terry B said, we've got that break. So we're not seeing the word already. We're seeing all and ready, as if to say everything is ready rather than already.
and Al, whoever Al is ready maybe too, huh?
Right. Because we also have that nice break right there between the AL and the R in this particular communication, because this already actually came out of this DB Cooper communication. Mm-hmm. Well, that brings us to the solve from Harriette for this one to the FBI. Do you have that one available to read?
Yeah, that's the one that we're going over with all those weird redactions.
Yes.
So I think what I was coming up with, and I'm reading it, it's pieces that belong to other communications, and then it fills in with Tarrance and Oval Office. The reason why I'm writing about something you may already know, that UPI, I'm trying to explain it as I put it in the book, but it was a weird, it was like a grill cipher, but it ended up the other pieces were filling in these pieces, and so it's going to confuse the hell out of people, because it confused me when I was working on it. But it fell in line. It's
so can you read that? Can you read that solve?
Oh, sure. I'll just read it as everything in the puzzle pieces included, and I'll do my best to explain. So I got Federal Bureau of Investigation, Federal Courthouse, Seattle, Wash. Gentlemen, this is to call your attention to Black Dahlia, Doctor of UCSF Berry, postage due, future star, mom, son, RST, born, remains Lloyd Wright, Souden House, 5121 Franklin Avenue, LA, California, 90027, USA. He could be your man. Please note the composite drawing, and then it filled in George H. Bear a resemblance to the composite sketch in the San Diego papers 5 days ago. That is referring to what happened in 1947. Anyways, it says, and I got it in there in parentheses, 1947, January, R.E. Elizabeth Short case. And then it's saying, to John DiMaggio, get wife 50G Courier Ives engraving print, CIA, IA, that's a spy, inter alias. Anyways, Ina Fit, bug and frame, put it in pregnant wife home, FT units, 890-14, shot 10 cc, Numbatol, Paradise, After Slave, RN, Donna Lassen, East State Line, Nevada, then 366. The Irishman drove from Wisconsin to Riverside to embrace Slice student Cherry 18, die time 1001, that's in the AM. Anyways, USN, Rat Bates, bringing 9-year-old daughter to 57, get well party, no one got to eat. SG and Kana met Seattle, Washington, IBTU, that's International Brotherhood Teamster Union President, United Auto Worker figures, counting on HAFA, Teamster Union pension funding, going for guns and drugs. And then it's saying my name is, and then fill in Tarrance, TEL, and then fill in Oval Office. The reason why I'm writing about something you may already know is that fill in UPI, get involved in helping to solve crime. And then I tried to do my best to describe what the stamp says. And anyways, then it says sincerely yours, and then fill in San Francisco PD-O, FBI, December 1971, and then I signed it off. But I found it to be pieces of other communications fitting into this. So I hope it's not confusing too many people, but it fell in line. So he's black. They're blackmailing the people involved to do something with this DB Cooper stuff.
So would you think that it would be reasonable to guess that, or assume, or ponder the idea that the FBI also decoded this thing, but didn't want some of those other messages ultimately decoded by anybody else at the time?
Exactly. Yeah, this is the FBI at the time is involved with this. You got Nixon's FBI guy, not H.R. Haldeman, but what's his name? G. Gordon Liddy. It's a very complex conspiracy that's going to give conspiracy theorists a whole bunch of fuel.
Yeah.
Well, and what I had coming after that was one that said President A. Nixon, I.O. Vito Genovese, Force Frank Costello. Is that the envelope?
Oh, that's I believe that's the envelope for hold on, where is it now? I think that's one of the envelopes for the Zodiac envelopes, but I was finding bits and pieces from that fit in there.
The DB Cooper Seattle FBI envelope is what's listed underneath this particular solve. Yeah. So it says January 2021, the DB Cooper Seattle FBI envelope. And the message that it was listed in your book was President A. Nixon, I.O. Vito Genovese, Force Frank Costello off. Oh, I can't make out that word.
Yeah.
Sheehan sent to Slice Sherry October. It's kind of running in tandem with what you just said, but it does work up a little bit differently because it talks about Tarrance shot David and Betty Lou, Lake Herman, Road Benicia.
That's the Zodiac envelope that seemed to link to this. Really confusing. I know. So anyways, I do have that somewhere, but yeah, it was. I found the Zodiac was intermingling with the past, present, and the current. The future. That was, and he's just trying to. They're in a matter of words blackmailing some of the people that were involved in the past that they must, get involved with this and stay involved and just do what you're told. So.
Well, it says Jim Phillips and Darlene Farron been given 5G. So Russian spies. See number 11. Clint. AIW, U.S. Secret Service, USA route plans at WUSECA, CC sent to DC.
Yeah, that's one of the envelopes, the Zodiac envelopes that I found when I dug a little deeper and knew more about the stamps at the time. Yeah, that this was somehow kind of like the forebearer of what's going to evolve into DB Cooper. So they're just So
now I'm seeing the solve a little bit clearer above it, but it says President Nixon Vito Genovese Force Frank Costello off Appalachia Consortia USN plot 1963 South Pacific RRTTO get 10 grand. Frank Sheeran sent to Slice Sherry October 31st 1966. 1041, Mrs. Payne sold Rambler station wagon to Faraday's father. Tarrance shot David Betty Lou, Lake Herman Road, Benicia, AA. What is AA?
Oh God, it's a certain acronym for the time. Not Alcoholics Anonymous, but AA's. God, he might be trying to say something like after AM or after. So I'm trying to remember what all these acronyms were.
And is Jim Phillips? Is that Jim Phillips? Was it Crabtree or?
Yeah, that's Jim Phillips Crabtree. He decided to go back to his name Crabtree after that, and he went into hiding for a while. That's what I heard.
I have a question.
Because
yes.
What about that Courier and Ives hint? What can you say about that?
The what?
The decoded thing you got that was Courier Ives. The Currier Ives was a painting, right?
Oh, Curio and Ives?
Yeah, Curio.
And I had to look it up. There was a very expensive Curio and Ives that ended up in Marilyn Monroe's house. And it's saying that they bugged that Curio and Ives, the bad people, of the mob. And because when I see these things evolving, I stop what I'm doing and I dig deep. Because she once time had a Curio and Ives coming from the past DiMaggio husband, who was now going to be. They were getting back together, and that's what I do believe. I did see that there was a gift of a Curio and Ives that went to her house.
Okay.
So saying that it was bugged.
Interesting.
Gotcha.
So horrible,
Yeah.
So she's trusting all these people in her life, Marilyn Monroe, and then she's suddenly feeling that, she's finding out she can't really trust them. And she was getting off all the drugs and stuff like that she was pumped into because she was pregnant again. And she was going to have that baby. Yeah.
Oh.
So
Wow.
anyways, yeah, that's what, yeah.
All right.
I guess it was back in the
it
day.
says,
Hey, everybody.
I believe this is a hint to use very recent comic communications to fill in sections. So now I have the solve up and I can see where you fit in the different pieces of information from the redacted portion of the actual solve. So now that made a little more sense. I was on the wrong slide, or I just had it arranged incorrectly on there. But that's going to bring us to the actual envelope for the USPA, which was the Parachuting Association, in which the DB Cooper suspect attempted to act as though he wanted to become a member. So we have the U.S. Parachute Association envelope dated December 4th, 1971, to the membership secretary, USPA, P.O. Box 109, Monterey, California. And then we see the US and A, which is a very unusual formation for somebody to put, at 93940. And you have a solve to that particular envelope as well, correct?
Yeah, I'm looking for it, but it ended up being a message for Herb Cain. I was like, okay, why?
Which then might explain why we see the futuristic letters that are going to come up in 74 and 78 to Herb Cain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so this is the one that says, "Sirs, I will send you some money." Is that the one?
Yeah, but we're not doing the letter yet. We're doing the envelope. And you have to police
just the envelope.
Yes.
I am looking for that.
Starts out to police.
Envelope.
Yeah, to police D, Chronicle newspaper, city reporter, Herb Cain, or Herb C in San Francisco, IOMO, Zodiac in El Berryessa, suit Napa County, 41, 6 foot, 187 pounds, for DC JFK and DC brother Bobby 2, Tarrance.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And this was just an anagram of these particular letters off the envelope is what you put on here. So the DB Cooper USPA anagram. So. Did you find that in your book?
So, yeah, but I know that's one of his most favorite Latin phrases to somehow get into these communications. So that to them, it means years of documents in order. They've been studying this. They've been working in this. They've been planning these situations, and they know the truth is leaning from beginning to end, documents in order. So to Chronicle newspaper, yeah.
City reporter, Herb Cain.
Yeah. And he was the city reporter. Again, once I saw that, I had to stop what I'm doing because I thought he was just a columnist. No, for a while, he was the city reporter, the city crime reporter also. Yeah, so then he's saying San Francisco Police Department, they're not getting anything, is zero. Then he's saying documents in order, method of operation, Zodiac and Lake Berryessa suit, Napa County. He's confirming to some people, I am the real deal. I was age 41. I was 6 feet and 187 pounds. And then it's for the DC operation for JFK and DC brother Bobby too. And then he's saying to attorney President Nixon requests Commute International Brotherhood Teamster Union, at the time the general manager emeritus Jimmy Hoffa, that he owes the United Auto Workers people $103,000, and then it's for the 4 CIA Robert Kennedy 8 toast, etc. assassins at the Ambassador Hotel in LA, California. Also requests Bill Hilliard to do the Bill Fisk Harris Diner in Nevada. Bush, now 47 years old, Tommy Devine CIA operation orders, because there were microfilms in the coin, by February 17th, 1972. And that's because I think it's February 20th or the 22nd, Nixon already had planned to go to China to make history. So he's bringing stuff along with him. Anyways, it says also Weepy Eyes.
Is that the letter solve that you're reading now? Because the envelope solve was much shorter.
I think it's a combination of both. But anyway, so I guess we'll stick with the envelope solve. But I just found it amazing that all this stuff ended up being true.
Right? Yeah, that makes it some type of, or some sort of confirmation of sorts. So that brings us to the actual letter that we're discussing now at this point. So the U.S. Parachute Association starts out December 4th, 1971. Sirs is double underlined. I will send you some money to cover the cost of my membership when I break some big bills. I hope my one jump from a 727 jet qualifies me as a skydiver. DB Cooper, may all your landings be softened by a $200,000 pillow.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh, wow.
Right? And one of the things we pointed out was the consistency with the formation of the letter D between the Donna Last greeting card. And of course, the D's in DB Cooper are extremely similar to one another. So that brought us to your solve of this letter, which, let's see if I have that. It says card envelope. Yes, please.
I get so excited when I see this, because again, once I see things evolving, I stop what I'm doing and confirm. Was there something called emeritus? Yeah, Jimmy Hoffa. Anyways, so okay, so it's basically coming out as saying Attorney President Nixon request Commute International Brotherhood Teamsters Union General Manager Emeritus Jimmy Hoffa owes United Auto Workers people $103,000 for, and then he's doing it for the 4 CIA Robert Kennedy 8 toast, etc. assassins at the Ambassador Hotel in LA, California. Also request Bill Hilliard, Bill Fisk Harris Diner in Nevada. Bush, now 47 years old. Tommy Devine CIA operation orders micro pictures coined by February 17th, 1972. Then it's saying also Weepy Eyes, Momo, Sam Giancana Boy, Joe Dispersio sends McGuire, Sis, Phyllis, the equivalent to my military E9 payments from 20099 Milan. It's a postal code. Italy Post Office, and then he's signing it as Jack Tarrance.
Wow.
So I had to confirm, would he be getting military E9 fee payments then? Yeah, he was.
What are military E9 fee payments?
Oh, it's his level pay for being he's still in the military, but he's doing things on the weekends. So that's why his nickname was Sergeant. So it's just a level pay that he was getting. And so he's saying that he knows that the equivalent to the payments were going to Milan for the McGuire sisters, Phyllis, who was a lover of Sam Giancana. And he was also known as Weepy Eyes, besides Momo. So
really?
Like, wow. Yeah. Because his eyes weeped. They looked like they were weeping a lot. So, and then his nickname is Momo because he was Mooney or anyway. So yeah, everything was just falling into place. Amazed.
It's interesting from the standpoint of the 4 assassins that hit Robert Kennedy. You know that his son, one of them that's a politician that has the gravelly voice that can barely speak, is going around pointing out some of this same stuff about who actually killed his dad. And it wasn't just Sirhan, that it was other people that did him in. So this is parallel to that.
Well, and then Nolan, wouldn't your book confirm a fourth person? So everybody always talks about the three tramps. They always talk about the three people they believe.
No, not the JFK assassination. I'm talking about the Robert Kennedy. Isn't that what you think he's referring to?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You're right. We are on Robert Kennedy. I blew that. So for CIA, Robert Kennedy.
And the Ambassador Hotel. And there were more than one person. There was he went to the hospital alive too. So
right.
Yeah. He was killed in the hospital. And when it said that Robert Kennedy ate and then toast and then etc. Yes, they were eating. They ate something and then they toasted because he was now. They toasted with some kind of liquor that he's now officially running, and so that actually happened. He toasted, and then the assassins did whatever they did. So it's just amazing how these come out, and I also, just say.
It fits with the overall narrative. It fits with the there were a lot of theories about JFK and his brother's killings, and these kind of float up. This cast of characters float up as being the most credible reasoning. You know what I'm saying? If everybody, all kinds of people had ideas and theories, etc. But these, my overview of the Kennedys, I kind of parallel. They killed the Kennedys outright. I think that they murdered Nixon's career instead of killing him outright. They just said, "Well, you're done," and so he,
Yeah.
I always thought that he kind of caved in a little too easily on the Watergate excuse. Do you know what I'm saying? And they said, "Well, you're done. You can either quit or we'll quit you," and he quit. So so they were running at the time the Vietnam War. They wanted to continue to run the Vietnam War, and now what they do instead, they move all the business over to, they're trying to work with China. And of course, our economy, you don't make anything in this country anymore. It's all made in China.
Right.
So
well, that brings us to
Terry B's got it exactly correct.
Right.
They couldn't kill him. They couldn't assassinate him. The world was not going to take another assassination. So they assassinated his administration. About 69, 89 people in that administration got creamed.
Yeah.
So they brought the administration down. So
probably because Nixon wanted out, he was getting so much flack for Vietnam War. Kennedy didn't want to go. JFK didn't want to go at all, and so they just said, well, you're not going along with us. Giancana and company, and known mobsters, and said you got to quit. And Nixon said, "I've lost my political base," which no one can also verify that quote. And that was it. So they basically, and then they replaced him with, we'll put Ford in. So they put Ford in because he was a good little boy and kept his mouth shut about the Warren Commission anomalies that didn't jive.
Well, some of the things that I remember from JFK era, at least in my readings and my research, is that he did a few things that literally upset not only the unions. I mean, clearly there was issues with the unions and Hoffa, but he price capped steel, which United Auto Workers, Boilermakers Union. I mean, there's so many unions that were involved with steel. He also, if you're saying that he also was against going to Vietnam, we know that war is one of the biggest money-making industries for the elite. So coal, steel, lumber, all of these things that were being price capped, and then he doesn't want to go to war. He's really cutting these people's nose off to spite their face. He literally had to go in their eyes.
Right. So it all comes around. I mean, it's all, and we've still haven't found that fancy word for precognition, I think it is, but there's many things that occur that parallel the Zodiac stuff that shows precognition. It shows that he's saying things are going to happen, and lo and behold, they happen. And
you were trying to say something there, Nolan, before you got kicked off, weren't you? We've got no sound. You must have your headphones plugged in. We've got no sounds from you.
We're not getting any sound, Nolan.
No sound.
Well, this
Can you hear me now?
This situation got me.
Yes, we can hear you
good,
now.
Nolan. Go.
Okay. You know what I was saying? I think you were mixing up RFK with JFK. So there were multiple shooters in JFK. We know that. But RFK, my point was there's multiple shooters there too. And Sirhan fired a gun that day.
Yes.
He fired like 6 shots, but he may not have been shooting bullets. There's strong evidence to suggest he was shooting blanks. And the reason for that was because the people that organized the assassination didn't want him shooting wildly and perhaps shooting one of the actual killers.
Yeah.
Oh, good point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense.
Well, in our next communication, well, not next, but I think that this postcard included with the membership secretary where he's requesting membership? Does anybody know? Because I got all these communications from Terry. So
yeah, I did that 9 years ago, and so as I look at it slowly but surely, some things come back to me. But yeah, I just grabbed all the documents I could at that time so I could refer to them. Except somehow they've eliminated the one that I posted on your site that I wanted to show the most, which was the one that shows that he made the drop west of Le Center, Washington, and that one's been removed from your board, from your message board.
Really?
Yes, that one was extracted and is not there, unbeknownst to you, because we weren't looking, and it's gone from my files on this computer, but I know I have it in my other, and I know it exists. And so I've been spending the last 2 weeks trying to find a copy of it. Oh, and Google, no dice, nobody will give up that copy. But they know damn good and well that's where he made the drop. He dropped right.
So
by
what was the communication? What was the communication that you were talking about?
FBI FOIA document that said that the report was that the pilot and Portland radar confirmed the drop zone as being west of Le Center, Washington, in an area that's all plowed fields, no fences or anything.
Huh.
Like we said before, where would you want to? Why would you jump in the woods and end up with a pine tree up your tail when you could land in a plowed field?
Right.
So
go ahead, Nolan.
Yeah, was this application made before or after the hijack?
After. So basically it's a car, it's a United States Parachute Association membership application, looks basically like a postcard, and it says name DB Cooper, mailing address care of the YMCA, city, state, and zip code is Toronto, Canada. Sex is yes. What does that say? Hold on.
See?
I need some glasses.
I'm not the one who has that kind of sense of humor. I'll tell you.
He says yes. I cannot read that word. Dimensionally, yes. I can't read that word. I'm not sure what that is. I might have to investigate that a little more. But yeah, he didn't answer sex. He didn't answer age either. But if we're getting age as 41 or in the 40s, which I think is really kind of what the composite described. It says personal data, military 0, sport 0, free fall 1, sport jumps 1, and in parentheses, a 727. Armed forces served, if any, and he draws a line through that. Club affiliation, if any, FBI sport para club. So he's alluding to being affiliated with the FBI, and that FBI is we know that the Zodiac calls out FBI on a constant basis. He says business occupation is a professional hijacker.
Hijacker, right.
Yeah, it's separated. He says he's 6 feet tall, 167 pounds. Color of hair is brown, color of eyes is brown. And then he writes DB Cooper, December 4th, 1971. And again, we did find some consistencies with that D in December, as well as with the D in Donna Lass. Now,
I have a couple quick comments.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So why would you send those other than to taunt? He's just,
right.
And then also he's making a point. Hey, I survived. I made it. I survived. I'm taunting you again. And before he got his plane ticket under the name Dan Cooper, but after the fact, it became legendary that DB Cooper became what he was called. So he's further taunting by using DB Cooper and not Dan Cooper.
Right.
Correct.
One more little point before you leave that page.
He's going to be a comedian too in some of these answers. hijacker, sex, yes.
One more point, real important point. F period, B period, I, no period. Same as on the Ramsey murder note. F period, B period.
Exactly.
I, no period. Again, he had put his signature from that document right to the Ramsey murder note.
Correct. Yes, I find that the consistency or the structure of those are definitely similar. So it does look like, and I have agreed that this particular communication came from the same hand. And I do find it interesting that in your last solve, Harry, you just got done telling us that he was 6 feet, 187 pounds. This says 6 foot, 167 pounds, but that 6 could be altered or, well, no, I don't even think that could have made a number 8. It looks like it's saying 167. But interesting that those numbers are so close to what you found in the solve.
Yeah, it was just an anagram, largely just an anagram. And
we know by the time we see Jack,
Jack was 189.
And we know that he was weighing much less. So he was heavier during the Lake Berryessa. Jack was heavier during the Lake Berryessa attacks. And then by the time we hit the 70s and we see him, a picture of him in 1975 with that black dyed hair that's growing out, and we see that he's lost substantial amount of weight. So somewhere between 71 and 75, he definitely lost a lot of weight.
Well, I think he probably lost weight to ensure the success of the mission because he was going to jump out of a plane with a bunch of heavy money.
I was just thinking that same thing. I was thinking, yeah, he's too tubby to be jumping out of a plane and parachute down.
Yep.
And he got
maybe that was the pillow he was talking about.
Which he needed.
Yeah,
he jumped out with a pillow, all right. I find some more stuff later on that he's claiming he jumped out with the body. But anyways, we'll get to that later. All right.
I did have some FOIA stuff that I think you sent me as well, Terry. And one of them was to SAC Seattle from SAC Detroit. So we've got something coming out of Michigan in regards to this, which I find to be interesting. Unsub, a.k.a. Dan Cooper, Northwest Airlines, flight number 305, Portland to Seattle, 11/24/71, CAA hijacking extortion. The enclosed for Seattle is a membership list of POPs, over 40 parachutist groups. So that's what I didn't mention back there. And that's why I think that the age was redacted, because he is saying he's 41 years of age and it is a group for 40 and above. The information appearing on the rear of these membership cards of the POPs organization. Review of these cards left to discretion of 00. What's 00 again, Harriette? Or
I usually find it out to be OPORD, like operation orders in military, but it can be other things, but that's usually 00, especially if you're following the commander in chief who is, giving orders as operation orders.
So review of these cards left to discretion of operation of orders and may be of value in developing suspect or individuals who may be able to furnish information on unsub. Interview with, and again, we've got it redacted, POPs on 12/3/71, parachutists over 40 society POPs furnish the following information to SA Donald A. Thiel. And of course, I don't necessarily think, I do. So this letter is going to go on, but we're running out of time now. We've got less than a minute left. So I know that we'll pick back up to finish off this FOIA or Airtel from the FBI next week. Is there anything you guys want to add? No? All right, you guys. Well, then
I guess for me, it's happy weekend. I'm going to try to make it a happy weekend.
Okay. No, I meant adding about this. So everybody have a wonderful weekend. We will see you next Friday.
Thanks, Harriet.
Thank you.
Bye.